UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, previously known as UFOs or USOs. NHI, non-human intelligence, artificial intelligence, biological or unknown.
At the time, due to my extensive executive-level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
We don't know whose they are. We don't know what propulsion they use. We don't know the tech. We don't know it. It's not off-the-shelf stuff. We have people with very high clearances, both today and in the past, who did really important work for the government, or continue to do important work for the government, who have come forward with some claims that the U.S. has recovered exotic materials and reverse engineered those materials and made advances in our own defenses and technologies.
UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena.
We have sources that have asserted not only that there have been crashes, but there have been crash retrievals. It appears somebody has discovered something, some advanced form of propulsion or technology that may actually change all of our lives. The United States of America, National Intelligence Community Citation, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force is hereby awarded the National Intelligence Meritorious Unit Citation. In 2024, the UAPTF was awarded the NIMU citation for their analytical work dealing with an issue of long-standing national significance. Are we to believe that they got this prestigious award for looking into balloons, birds, hoaxes, and sightings that are explained away as Venus or Jupiter? We were smart enough not to say, "Houston, there is a light out there that seems to be following us." For some reason, I was compelled to look out the plane's window. I looked, and my eyes grew really big. I saw next to us, about 1.5 kilometers away, and about 1,000 meters higher, there is a flying object. Its shape is a perfect right triangle. It was like nothing I have ever seen. There are phenomena occurring out there that both are visible and that we can't explain.
What are the guarantees that if this were to fall in enemy hands that it isn't immediately weaponized against us? And I'll say this, it is clear from my experience and what I've seen that there is something out there. The question is it ours? Is it someone else's? Or is it otherworldly?
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is. The strange appearance of transient objects. Transient stars refer to celestial phenomena that appear temporarily in the night sky before disappearing or changing significantly. At observatories like the Harvard College Observatory, photographic plates were historically used to record images of the night sky. The plate collection spans over a century and serves as a vital archive for studying historical celestial events and transients. By comparing plates taken years or decades apart, astronomers can detect the appearance or disappearance of transient stars and analyze their characteristics, enabling a deeper understanding of the dynamic universe.
The chance to get 5 transients aligned on a line, or just 5 objects aligned on a line in such an image, is 1 in 10,000. Later, my colleague Enrique Solano found a beautiful example of 3 transients that were the brightest and most beautiful of all our examples, where you see 3 transients appearing and vanishing again within half an hour.
Sputnik, the first man-made object to enter orbit, was launched on October 4th, 1957. These objects correlate with the Washington UFO sightings of 1952, when multiple UFOs were seen by multiple people, including military pilots, and corroborated by radar data. Something was in Earth's orbit many years before the first satellite was ever launched. When Dr. Donald H. Menzel, head of the Astronomy and Astrophysics Department at Harvard, with high-level security clearance and with close ties to national intelligence, took over the Harvard Observatory, he immediately ordered the destruction of 1/3 of all the plates in their collection. His reason for doing this? Storage. Everybody, simultaneously, was thinking it was something else. The Americans thought it was Russian, the Russians thought it was Japanese, but in the depths of the system, among knowledgeable people, there was a concrete notion that there was something different here. Something that we, the Americans and the Russians, are going to have to deal with. They came up with a table of pictures of all the shapes of UFOs that have ever been recorded, about 50. The study of UFOs may reveal some new forms of energy to us, or at least bring us closer to a solution. When we talk about sightings, we are talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots, or have been picked up by satellite imagery that frankly engage in actions that are difficult to explain, movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for, or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without a sonic boom. The collection and evaluation of UFO data by Central Intelligence warranted more intense study and attention at the highest government level. I can assure you that, given they exist, these flying saucers are made by no power on this Earth. I think there is a lot of evidence that the government has not told us about. There are tons and tons of unexplained sightings that have been reported and investigated. It was about 30 degrees above the horizon and looked about as large as the moon. It got smaller and changed to a reddish color and then got larger again. It was obviously there and obviously unidentified. I'll never make fun of people who say they've seen unidentified objects in the sky. It appeared to be several hundred yards away. It was a fairly steady light until it began to accelerate. Then it appeared to elongate. Then the light took off. It went up at a 45-degree angle at a high rate of speed. Everyone on the plane was surprised. The UFO went from a normal cruise speed to a fantastic speed instantly. If you give an airplane power, it will accelerate, but not like a hot rod. And that's what this was like. I looked out the window and saw this white light. It was zigzagging around. I went up to the pilot and said, "Have you ever seen anything like that?" He was shocked, and he said, "Nope." And I said to him, "Let's follow it." We followed it for several minutes. It was a bright white light. We followed it to Bakersfield, and all of a sudden, to our utter amazement, it went straight up into the heavens. When I got off the plane, I told Nancy all about it. I happen to have been privileged enough to be in on the fact that we've been visited on this planet, and the UFO phenomenon is real. We already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity. There are aliens. There are non-human intelligences visiting us in all domains, of the sea, the sky, and we see reports over land. They're using technology of unknown origin. Non-human intelligence exists. NHI has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new and is ongoing. There is zero doubt. The object, flashing with intense red, green, orange, and blue lights so bright that I was not able to see its body. I was startled by a round object which came out of the primary object and started coming straight toward me at a high rate of speed. Suddenly, nothing was working. The weapons control panel was out, and I lost all the instruments and the radio. Another bright object came out of the primary diamond-shaped UFO and headed directly toward the ground. It seemed to slow down and land gently on the ground, radiating with a bright light. The explanation given to the public was electrical failure, and that the pilots had seen Jupiter, a meteorite, and a plane crash, all at once. No plane was ever found, though. It was black. It was moving so fast. I could not make out any details. The phenomenon is something real and not visionary or fictitious. There were disc-shaped objects, metallic in appearance, as big as man-made aircraft. Extreme rates of climb and maneuverability. Evasive when sighted or contacted by friendly aircraft and radar. We must insist upon full access to discs recovered. For instance, in the LA case, the Army grabbed it and would not let us have it for cursory examination. I think we owe it to the people to establish credibility regarding UFOs and to produce the greatest possible enlightenment of the subject. I'm not at liberty to discuss the government's knowledge of extraterrestrial UFOs at this time. I am still personally being briefed on the subject. +60 years ago, I was provided highest-level classification to lead DoD work on nuclear weapons and anti-missile defense. I was informally briefed on other-world technologies by CIA's Dr. Richard Bissell, but sworn to secrecy. And who is this doctor, Richard Bissell? Richard Mervyn Bissell was an American Central Intelligence Agency officer responsible for major projects such as the U-2 spy plane and the Bay of Pigs invasion. Bissell was also in charge of Lockheed Skunk Works, Area 51, and Los Alamos. He is seen as one of the most important spy masters in CIA history. The phenomenon of UFOs does exist, and it must be treated seriously. For 30 years, I've held that image in my mind. What I saw was a circular object that looked like two pie plates put on top of each other with a golf ball on top. It was a classic flying saucer, and it shot a beam of something at our warhead. The recordings are allegedly still highly classified and have not been seen since. The disappearance of Frederick Valentich.
Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? No known traffic. Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet. What type of aircraft is it? I cannot confirm. It's four bright, seems to me like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above. Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity? No known aircraft in the vicinity. Seems to be playing some sort of game. He's flying over me. Delta Sierra Juliet, it's not an aircraft, it's... Can you describe the aircraft? As it's flying past, it's a long shape. Cannot identify it. It has such speed. It's before me right now, Melbourne. How large would the object be? Seems like it's stationary. What it's doing right now is orbiting. The thing is just orbiting on top of me. It's also got a green light and a sort of metallic, like, it's shiny on the outside. It's just vanished. That strange aircraft's hovering on top of me again. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
Final transmission of missing Australian pilot Frederick Valentich, 1978. Neither he nor his aircraft were ever found. The explanation given was that Frederick had accidentally flown upside down and had mistaken his own lights for a UFO, or that he faked his own death. After the plane from Roswell arrived with the material, I asked the base commander to personally transport it in a B-26 to Major General McMullen in Washington, D.C. The entire operation was conducted under strictest secrecy. The weather balloon explanation for the material was a cover story to divert the attention of the press. It is time for the truth to be brought out. Behind the scenes, high-ranking Air Force officers are soberly concerned about the UFOs. But through official secrecy and ridicule, many citizens are led to believe the unknown flying objects are nonsense. I urge immediate congressional action to reduce the dangers from secrecy about unidentified flying objects. The Nimitz encounter. Sworn testimony of U.S. Navy Commander David Sex Fravor, Top Gun Squadron leader of the Black Aces.
As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves, so the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down and saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping-pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the tic-tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the tic-tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the tic-tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the tic-tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute." In closing, I would like to say that the tic-tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 years.
Estimated speed of 11,500 kilometers per hour and around 30 Gs. A F-18 fighter jet loses its structural integrity at 17 Gs. Do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth? I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited. It's been here a long time, and it's still here. Dr. Gary Nolan was tasked by the USAF to examine service members physically harmed by UAP. If you treat the UFO phenomenon seriously, you are in good company. The truth is out there.